Hello and welcome to another episode of the Made in Carroll Show. I'm Jason Stanbaugh.
I'm Steve Lowe.
And the two of us are continuing our journey to meet the entrepreneurs and families behind Carroll's craft wine, beer, and spirits boat.
It's quite a bit of craft wine spirits.
A lot of craft, at least this is in the evening. Sometimes we've been doing this in the morning. It gets a little rough. But where are we today?
We are at Patapsco Distillery in Sykesville, Old Sykesville, Maryland.
Yeah, and we're going to here to taste some more spirits. I think we got some vodka, we got some gin. I'm super excited.
Apparently we don't have the limoncello.
We don't have limoncello, which sold out.
Because he sold out. What can you do? So I guess you'll have to visit and come and pick up some.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till this next order of lemons I hear is coming in. But anyway, let's go meet Scott. Let's go see what Scott's up to.
Hey
Scott,
guys,
how's it going?
Wonderful. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Doing well. What were you working on in here?
Going back. We're working on the next batch.
Always working on the next batch.
Absolutely.
So this, I see a lot of like woods. We visited a bunch of places so far, and so I see you got a lot of wooden containers. So what are these big wooden containers? We're seeing steel, so why wood? What's going on with this wood?
Wood, I don't know, wood fit the profile of what I wanted to do. I didn't think in this old building, I didn't think the stainless steel would fit.
I agree.
And I also wanted to do open top fermentation, which is what these are. These are 4 fermenters, mash tun, and 2 stills.
Okay.
It just kind of fit the motif. I mean, I want to go back to, I want to start from scratch. Mm-hmm. The only way I could get closer is if I grew my own corn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could have used stainless steel, or you could use wood, but for the aesthetics of the place, you chose the wood.
Yeah, and most people, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Stainless steel just doesn't look. It doesn't look like you're working. People can stick their head over the tanks and look in. Stainless steel, you run up. Yeah, this is what we're doing in here.
Something.
By the way, you can't see it, but just trust me. This is happening. No, if I say I'm fermenting, it's rolling, and you can look in and you can see the bubbles going.
Yeah.
If it's done fermenting, you look in, and it's just a flat pool of gold liquid.
Okay.
So how long have you been open here on Main Street?
We opened in April 2017.
Okay, now how long were you in the run up to that? Because I know we first met at the Carroll Biz Challenge. Yeah, you were a finalist
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago this year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the whole plan before the Carroll Business Challenge, it was an 8-year plan on paper.
Okay.
So I guess it's over a decade now where we were just trying to figure out, would this work? Can this work? Because I had some friends who were saying, no, that'll never work. That won't work. And I kept looking for the reason of how and why it wouldn't work. And after 8 years of playing with it, I never found that reason why it would not work.
Okay.
And my wife finally said, well, just do it.
Yeah.
Quit your job.
Well, I went contractor for a while we were improving the building, getting it up to code so we could open. But and even after we opened, I stayed on as a consultant for April, May, June. So 3 months.
Okay.
And that was just too much.
Right. So you're probably 7-8 months in.
Yeah.
The big question after a 10-year ramp up is, will it work? And no, it won't.
Yeah,
is it working?
This is going to work.
All right.
This is going to work. This is going to be fun. This is fun, but yeah, it's going to work too.
Very cool. So you were a chemist, correct?
I was biochemistry kind of stuff. I was making vaccines and therapeutics. I've got 27 years experience making vaccines and therapeutics for phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials.
In this case, now bacteria is your friend, right?
It was my friend then too.
Oh, okay.
Because we were fermenting genetically modified organisms to produce proteins for vaccines.
Okay.
And now now it's more natural because the yeast are not genetically modified. So it's fermentation or media prep, fermentation, purification, and vialing. Now my vials are bigger, but still making people feel good.
That's right. Oh my gosh, now you're making painkillers, whatever kind of pain you got.
Exactly.
Well, so this is a huge. I mean, this is not a massive setup, but it's a big setup. So did you do anything before you got the big barrels set up to kind of get ready for this, or was this just like you bought the barrels and played around?
It is highly illegal. It's actually a tax law violation to distill without a license, and I would never break the law.
Okay.
So no.
Okay. So you just kind of have to buy this big equipment and hope for the best. And that's the
Well, and the way the government wants you to do it is you need to set up your distillery and then ask for permission. You then submit for the approval.
So spend all the money.
So yeah, it's a very
Set it all
upfront allocation.
Allocation.
Thank you. I've been saying a little too much. Allocation of money up front.
I will
and then
not
you
be
get
able to say that word in a few minutes, but
Well, it's also it's supposed to be on the web. At the time, they said it was a 75-day process to get approval. This is the federal license. So I applied, and I don't know, on day 200, 210, I finally
there you go.
I contacted my representative in the House, who at the time was Chris Van Hollen.
okay.
So I contacted Chris's group, signed the documents that they could act as my liaison for a government agency, and 5 days later I had my permit.
Very cool.
Wow.
If I'd known that, I'd have contacted him at day 76. I applied for my state license after that, and the state license was a much more gentle process. I had no trouble. It's all mostly common sense, and they want to do, make sure that you say who you say you are, and that you don't have any kind of criminal record of tax evasion on alcohol issues, and
there you go.
all kinds of
You're
stuff like
Al Capone
that.
or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm glad you made it through that journey. That's a tough path, and 210 days of sitting here with all this overhead and no income coming in is nail biting, gut wrenching.
Yes, I think gut wrenching would be better because I thought I was 2 months away from opening for 2.5 years.
So walk us through a bit of the process that happens here. You mentioned the grain. You don't grow the grain. Obviously, you don't have a farm out back where you're growing you don't have any crops outside. So where are you getting your grain from to make your spirits?
We get our grain actually from southern states. They're right next door.
Okay.
They're a Maryland.
Local.
Right, they're a Maryland grain broker.
Right.
So I know the corn is from Maryland. And I can even trace it to the nearest I can trace it to is the tower that it was stored in after the farm. And my grain has all come through, or my corn has all come through Hagerstown.
Okay.
For the bourbon, the wheat and the barley is grown about 5 miles from here at Dark Cloud Malt House. Same place a lot of the breweries get their beer or get their grains. But yeah, so the corn comes in 50-pound bags. We bring it in the back. We have a grinder.
Okay.
We grind it ourselves. This is the largest electric mash tun that I could fit through that double door.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to take the doors off and cut the frames off, and we were down to stone. And even then, my measurements got a little snug.
Oh, man.
That was a very big pucker factor moment right there. Yeah, I wasn't sure the thing was coming in.
That sounds like a great new reality show. The pucker factor.
I think it's the name of the next vodka.
That's right. Or Limoncello should be called the pucker factor.
Pucker factor. Yeah, that pretty much was. So we feel that you want to go through the whole.
Yeah, let's.
All right.
Walk us through, man.
Yeah.
All right. So this is an electric mash tun.
Okay.
This is the old timers would call this a cooker. So we fill this with 250 gallons of water, heat it to 170 degrees, and add 500 pounds of corn. At 170, the starch in the corn gelatinizes. It opens up and gets very thick and sticky. The water gets into the starch molecule. We add 2 enzymes, and they're naturally occurring enzymes in the corn. They express when the corn starts to germinate. We do not germinate our own corn. That's just another level of nuts that we don't need to get to.
Okay.
The first enzyme chops the starch into long-chain sugars. Second enzyme chops long-chain sugars into short-chain sugars, glucose and maltose. If you look in the mash tun, the bottom of it looks like a colander. It's a false bottom. We pump out from below the false bottom. Corn solids stay in the tub. The liquid goes into the fermenters. We have 4 of them. We typically use 3. The last one's just filled with water to keep the wood wet. The corn solids we pump into these black tubs, and we donate that to a farm that's just over the Patapsco and Downriver Road, called Ritter Farms.
Okay.
He gives it to his pigs as a supplement to their feed.
There we go.
And if you go to Baldwin's and you order pork, that's where they get their pork. And if you go to the South Mountain Creamery here across the street, Firehouse Ice Cream Shop, they have a freezer section with his pork.
Okay.
So it's hyper local.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Basically, I turn a waste product into bacon.
There-
I'm a magician.
That's really clever.
So to this, we pitch the yeast, and there are 4 byproducts of yeast utilizing glucose and maltose as a carbon source: CO2, heat, water, and alcohol. So days 2 and 3, this is about 95 degrees. It's just a rolling bubble. That's the natural heat. We aren't adding heat. It's actually the chemical reaction of the glucose being broken down by the yeast. Right now, it's pretty much, this is done and ready to go into the still. I wish I had a rolling one for you guys.
Yeah.
Had it not been, this time of year,
That's right.
would have had one.
Yeah, there we go.
But this then goes, it's about 5 or 6 days. We'll pump it into the still. Alcohol boils at 170 degrees, water boils at 212. So what we'll do is we'll get the still to 210 and hold it there. The alcohol turns to vapor, goes up our column still. This is a column on the column still. The condenser is on. Everything recondenses and drips back down. What we're trying to do at this point is we're trying to get the copper plate, and there's perforated copper plates between each sight glass. We're trying to get those above 170. The reason being, when alcohol turns to vapor in the presence of a lot of water, like in the main tank, it actually grabs water molecules with it. That's bad if you're making booze, because water is water and water has flavor. So everything goes up, hits the condenser, drips back down. Once these plates are above 170, the alcohol will actually boil on the plate.
Yeah.
Now it's not in the presence of a lot of water, it's just a little bit of water. So it won't grab as much. It'll go up to the next plate. The water keeps dripping down. And it'll redo that every time on every plate. You can't say it's, I have 5 plates, so you can't say it's 5 times distilled. Although there are some distilleries that will claim that, and it's just marketing. If they start saying it's 9 times distilled, well, if they distilled it 9 times, that tells me they did something wrong for at least 7 of them.
Yeah.
So eventually, once we see the alcohol boiling on the plates, we'll turn the condenser down a little bit, and the vapor will make the loop come around, hit this condenser, recondense into liquid, and we collect out of the parrot.
Okay.
And how long does that all take?
Heating this up usually takes about 5 hours. I have a couple more elements on the bottom that I need to connect, and that'll shorten it up. But typically 5 hours until we start seeing liquid come out.
Very cool.
Once liquid comes out, we've got the heads, the hearts, and the tails. Those are the 3 different phases of stuff coming out. The heads are acetone and methanol. They have a lower boiling point than ethanol.
So you want to drink those, right?
Yeah, Sterno and nail polish remover. Yeah, those are the bad ones.
Yeah.
Actually, when people were dying, that's what was being included in the main product way back when.
Yep.
We collect them separately. We actually use it to clean up messes. I've tried to find a way to monetize it. Nothing's been successful. I had a buddy who was making prosthetics for a nonprofit, and they were using acetone to wipe off Sharpie marks when they were cutting and doing the measurements, or doing the final sizing. I gave him a little bit. He's like, yeah, it works, but it smells like it came out of a distillery. What's wrong with that? Yeah. So no, we save it, we use it to clean up messes.
Very cool.
It switches over to ethanol, and we monitor that switch point by smell first and taste second. When you can no longer smell nail polish remover, start tasting it. And by taste, everybody does that. What? it's just a thin stream of liquid coming out, and you run your finger through it and taste. A nail polish remover has a very distinctive taste.
Yeah.
So when you can no longer taste nail polish remover, we start collecting.
Okay.
That's when you're into the hearts. That's the ethanol, that's the good alcohol that you do want. We also, from this still, we collect what are called the tails. That's when you start to get the fusel oils. The essential oil of corn, the yeast breaking down the sugar, they make a couple different oils. It smells horrendous, but it still has a lot of alcohol in it at that point. And it's, we're trying to make alcohol, so we try to maximize what we get out of run number 1. We take this material that comes out of here, and we put it in that still over there.
The hearts?
The hearts and the tails.
The hearts and the tails.
We take hearts and tails from run number 1.
Okay.
Then we take it over to our little still.
Okay. This little would have a name?
You know what? We should have a contest to name.
Yeah.
We should have a contest to name both of them. That works. We fill that with about 23 gallons of the stuff from still number 1. If we're making the vodka that day, we redistill it, we actually do a heads cut again. We collect the hearts only, We can actually control the temperature to squeeze the hearts quite a bit. The tails never come out of this one. We take that for the vodka and put it across our charcoal filter. That stainless steel pipe right there. That's got about 5 pounds of activated carbon on it. We hand pitcher it over that, collect what comes through, distill to 80 proof with distilled water. So if you see anybody rolling around in Martin's with a cart full of distilled water gallon bottles, that's me.
Okay.
Say hi. If it's and then we have a little bottling machine in the back. We pull out 4 bottles at a time, 750 mils.
Wow. Got it.
If it's a gin run we're doing, we add our botanicals at this point. So our gin is classified as a redistilled gin. Since we distill it once on the stripping still, we distill it again here on the spirit still. We add our botanicals at this point. Juniper, coriander, angelica root, licorice root, cinnamon, lemon peel, and orange peel. We were aiming for a London dry. We'll get into that later. We redistill it. Again, take a head cut. Collect what comes out for the hearts. This, as gin, does not get charcoal filtered. We dilute to 80 proof with distilled water and bottle.
Well, thanks for kind of giving us a run through your process and showing us your equipment here. But let's get to the tasting.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. This episode was sponsored by the Carroll County Public Library. The Carroll County Public Library connects our community with welcoming spaces, innovative resources and services, and educational experiences for lifetime enrichment. The library strives to be a vital community partner, to be a good neighbor, and to provide you with the best ideas, information, and resources. As a hub for Carroll County residents for decades, the Carroll County Public Library is truly made in Carroll. You can learn more about the library and check out their programs at library.carr.org. This season of the Made in Carroll Show is sponsored by the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber has promoted a sound economic environment for the local business community since 1924. By building relationships and forging personal connections, the Chamber creates a stronger business community. This past year, the Chamber hosted events like the Carroll County Public Safety Awards, the Outstanding Teacher Awards, the Small Business Awards, the Carroll Biz Challenge, and the Drug Expo. The Carroll County Chamber of Commerce exists to showcase what's truly made in Carroll. You can learn more about the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce by visiting them online at www.carrollcountychamber.org. All right, man, let's taste some of this. Let's taste of these spirits. I know. So is this where did this wood come from? This looks hand cut or something.
It was. I got the lumber at Exotic Lumber up in Frederick.
Okay.
And yeah, this is bald cypress, the same thing all the tanks are made out of.
Very cool.
So everything out here matches everything in there.
Very cool.
The bald cypress, the black, the copper, it all matches.
It does.
I like it.
So, would you like to try some spirits?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, what are we? We have a lot of metals.
I was
right
gonna
here,
s-
so
I
let's
was-
start with like the metals. So
Sure. This is our Bluefin Vodka. It has won 2 gold medals in international competition. The first one was at the SIP Awards.
okay.
It's a funny story why we entered the SIP Awards because they said if your distillery doesn't place, you get taster's notes. And we were just starting out. I was like, oh, great, we'll get professional taster's notes. We'll know what we need to do. We submitted our product. They had best in class, platinum, gold, silver, bronze. We won gold.
Wow.
Very good. So that's a note. That is some form. Of
That was some. I had to read that email 4 times.
That's cool, man. That's really good.
The second gold medal was from the Sommelier Challenge, which is a wine tasting event that has a spirit side, and that one there's no levels. It's gold. They have double gold, gold, silver, and you just where your average score finishes. That's what you get. And we got the vodka and the gin both got gold medals at the Sommelier Challenge.
Very cool.
Yeah, again, I had to read that email a couple times.
Cool. Well, let's taste it.
All right, awesome.
So what can you tell us about this?
It is made from 100% Maryland grown corn. It is twice distilled.
It's electrifying.
It is.
It flies right through your hand. Yeah. It's got a real sweet nose to it. We've always struggled. I have no actual credentials or knowledge of how to describe booze, but
And we didn't know how else to do it rather than have a podcast about it.
Right, yeah, that's what we're doing. So vodka is supposed to be colorless, odorless, and flavorless. But as you get there's a sweet, there's a sweet note that you smell, and when you taste, well, I'll tell you the
Nice. Cheers.
First thing you'll notice is it's very smooth. I attribute that to our charcoal and the charcoal filter. That's one of the secrets I don't tell people.
You have magical charcoal.
It's a special kind of charcoal.
Yep. It's found at the end of the rainbow. Is that what I understand?
you gotta kick the leprechauns and the pot of gold off, and it's right under that. Absolutely.
It does the job.
Yeah, I would never. Normally, I would never say there's anything interesting about vodka that I would sip it straight or but this definitely has real sweet finish and very smooth.
And it doesn't have any of that harshness of when you take a shot of, I'm not going to name a brand name of vodka, but a mass-produced vodka, it usually has like an isopropyl medicinal kind of, at the end, you're like...
That's not happening.
Right.
That's not happening right now.
You talking about Tito's?
I'm not going to...
Anyway.
I'm not going to say anything on camera.
No. The government will be watching.
Well, the one good thing, I mean, if you're a Tito's drinker, his is made initially from corn.
Do you know him personally?
No, I don't know him personally. His name isn't even Tito. I do know that much.
Yeah.
But no. But when he started at this size doing this.
Yeah.
He's obviously gotten a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Or a lot bigger. But he started with corn. And he still does spirits produced initially from corn.
Got it.
So if you're a big Tito's fan, you're going to love Bluefin.
So what's behind the name Bluefin? Like where because I think that just a lot of other local producers, their products are typically branded their name, like an Old Westminster Winery, it's Old Westminster Winery, and miscellaneous is miscellaneous, and they have some funny names, but so what's the story behind the branding here?
Bluefin is my favorite fish to catch and eat.
Okay.
And if I'm making a vodka, I get to name it.
Fair enough.
that is it. There's
Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
So, I mean, I think of my parents have a place down Ocean City, and we actually, it took us years of fishing to catch a bluefin tuna.
Okay.
And it wasn't for lack of trying. We did all kinds of stuff. So it was just this huge struggle with me, my dad, and my brother always did. So we'd go, we're going tuna fishing. And of course that meant we were eating steak that night at some restaurant because we never brought anything home. Mm-hmm. I just think about all the struggles we had doing that. When we finally got one, it was like, I mean, it was like winning a gold medal.
Yeah, was it a big one or a little one?
It was a little one. It was a little one. Awesome. And the gin, me and my dad had a contest when we were doing the development of the gin. I made one, he made one. Mine tasted like ground up Christmas trees. His tasted a whole lot better. So we went with his recipe.
Okay.
And that's also why it's JP Gin. Mm-hmm. My dad is JP. He's John Paul. He's a PhD chemist who used to teach organic chemistry at the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy. So I had some stiff competition in the challenge. So, but he won.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. All right.
Now we were aiming for a London Dry.
Yep.
But we failed in a wonderful way.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on.
There's a lot more going on. It's not as pine forward. You get a little bit of the pine on the nose, but you don't get a whole lot of that on the palate. What you get on the palate is most of the botanicals come through, not just the juniper.
Yeah.
I mean, that is.
Now this is a bottle I've got at home, and I'm a big gin drinker, and that's become one of my go-tos in the tonic. So it's
awesome.
very tasty. Love it.
Thanks. I would love to pour some limoncello.
Yeah. What the heck?
Well, I told everybody we'd have the limoncello before Christmas, and we did. We released it on December 16th, and we sold out on December 16th. Had I known it was going to be that popular, I would have made a whole heck of a lot more. So I've ordered more lemons from the same grower. It's It's a farm out in California where they pick the lemons on Monday, ship them on Tuesday, and they got to me on Friday. We peeled them that Friday and had them soaking in 150 proof vodka by the end of the day. Let it sit for about a month. Pulled it out, diluted it to 110 proof, and then cut it 1-to-1 with simple syrup and bottled. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I could pour you some.
Yeah, no, that's well, to whoever bought the last bottle. But these are some phenomenal products. So you've got the rye coming and the bourbon coming, in addition to another batch of limoncello. So what will the rye and bourbon be named? Any insider tips?
Well, none of the bourbon names. I know the rye name, and no, I'm not going to tell you because I haven't done the trademark.
Oh, okay.
I need to do that first.
Okay.
The bourbon, nothing is past the 10-day test.
Okay. What's the 10-day test?
My uncle taught me years ago that if it's a good idea at day 1, it'll be a good idea at day 10. So if you have an impulse buy that you just have to do, wait 10 days. Right. The closest I'll get to an impulse buy is either 10 or 11 days. Because if it's a good idea here, it'll be a good idea there. None of the names have passed the 10-day test. They sound too campy, or they sound just eh.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be neat.
Yeah.
This is the first bourbon made in Carroll County legally since Prohibition.
Wow, love that.
Yeah.
And you still have those little cards left? I got a card. I bought a card. Let me see if I have one. I don't have my wallet on me. But yeah,
we do have.
left.
Yeah, we do
so
have.
Tell us about this program here.
You can buy your bottle now, and it comes with a T-shirt once we do the marketing. But you guarantee yourself a bottle from the first bottling, and it'll come in a nice ornamental packaging and all the good stuff. We're still figuring that out too. But yeah, this is going to be the only way you can get a bottle from the first bottling.
So you anticipate in the September, October timeframe?
Yes, we're going to start tasting it in August, and if it tastes good, well, we'll bottle.
You'll wait 10 days?
we'll wait 10 days and taste it again. Absolutely. So August 10th, we'll know. Absolutely. It's a good one.
Awesome. So you got that coming up.
So we got this coming up.
Yeah.
Also in the spring, we're going to do Lucchino, which is a black walnut liqueur. That'll be in the same kind of
Call
bottle.
me interested. Explain, what is a black walnut liqueur and why would I drink one? Or what would I do? I've never heard of that before.
I was trying to think of, since my lemons are grown in California, my botanicals are not grown in Maryland. For the gin, I mean the corn for everything, and the wheat and the barley and the bourbon is grown in Maryland. I was trying to think of what Maryland botanical could I use to really do a complete liqueur from Maryland. And if you've lived in Maryland for any length of time, you've had a black walnut tree grown in your backyard because they're a weed around here. So I did a little research, and sure enough, there's actually a liqueur called Lucchino, which is. It's an Italian after-dinner drink, just like limoncello, but it's flavored with black walnuts. And it's the last step is it's basically the same recipe as limoncello, but instead of using lemon rinds, you use quartered black walnuts, and you got to get the whole husk before the nut hardens in the shell. And you soak those in high-proof vodka for a month and a half.
So do you have your black walnut tree picked out there?
I do have a buddy of mine that I used to work with who has, I think, 4 of them growing in his backyard. And he told me I could just bring a cherry picker and...
That's awesome.
Because I'm not climbing a tree.
Now, when's that going to come out? Because I need to mark my calendar for that, or
Do you have a card for that one?
I might. The way the limoncello went.
That's right. I need to pre-order that, man. I can't. I don't live in. I'm not from the site. I'm not Sykesville people. I'm not in Westminster. Man. So
well, if you want the scoop of when everything's getting released, follow me on social media.
Okay.
We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay.
And because when I put it out on Twitter that we had the limoncello and it was being done on December 16th, I didn't do any hashtags, I didn't do anything, so if you weren't following me, you didn't see it.
Okay. I don't want to miss that, so I'm going to go. I think I might follow you already, but I missed it. I missed it. I got off Facebook for a little while. I don't know what happened. So outside of like some awesome new black walnut liqueur, the bourbon, and the rye, I'm guessing is coming out next year as well.
It'll be about this time next year.
Okay, very cool. What events do you have? Do you have any events or like what's going on here? I know you know we're here sitting in your tasting room. Folks are invited to come in. Sykesville's lots of cool events, but what else? What are you doing that's kind of special that folks might want to check out?
what am I doing that's special? Well, we have the upstairs open. It's an event space, so you can rent it out. Some of the things that the Main Street Association is doing, every couple of months, the town shuts the streets down and we have a festival.
Very cool.
And that is one of the best things about this location. A lot of distilleries in Maryland are opening in business parks and you don't get the foot traffic. I get so many people walking through my front door saying, what is this place? And it's like, that's the reason I'm here.
Right.
Yeah. And I think for folks who haven't been to Sykesville in a while, and again, I make this running joke, it feels like Sykesville's the other side of the universe from Westminster. You know, a lot of folks don't get down here enough, and I come down probably once every 6 months or so, once every 3 months, and the last time I was down here, I stopped in to see you to talk about, hey, you want to be a part of this like show thing I'm doing? And I was like, good Lord, like what are all these little boutique-y stores doing? Yeah, it's a totally different place down here.
We can actually have a legitimate bar crawl in Sykesville now. That's the joke among just college students coming back, because you've got, I'm going to start naming some places in Sykesville. You've got the French Twist. They sell wine and beer, mostly French wine and beer. But you can start there, go to Baldwin Station, go to the Vine on Main, come here, go to Beck's next door, and then go up the street to Market Tavern. I mean, that's a legitimate, you can have a Sykesville bar crawl.
Well, Scott, this place is absolutely amazing. You've done an incredible job, and I am glad, and I think the community should be glad that you stuck it out and for the
10 years.
Somebody and St. Barnabas here at the parish house,
Absolutely.
where we're currently. This is a former parish house we're occupying, but he's happy that somebody's making use of this.
Good use.
Absolutely.
But Scott, we do sincerely thank you for making something awesome right here in Carroll County, Maryland.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, man.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to the Made in Carroll show. This episode was hosted by me, Jason Stambaugh, and my good friend and colleague, Steve Lowe. The audio, the video, really everything you experienced on this episode was produced by 127 Creative. As you can see, they really can create and communicate everything. You can learn more about the Made in Carroll show by visiting us online at www.madeincarroll.com. You can find our videos on Facebook and YouTube and listen to our podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. Thank you again to the Carroll County Public Library and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's episode. And finally, thank you to the backers of our Season 2 Kickstarter campaign. You guys know who you are. Thank you so much for helping us make something awesome right here in Carroll County, Maryland.